Hello, and welcome to the Socrates Cafe channel video podcast. Today I have a special guest. Her name is Principessa. Ceci, and Ceci is my life partner. We'll be together as a married couple for 27 years on May the 11th.
25. 27 together, 25 married.
You see? My New Year's resolution is to get my facts and figures straight. So May 11th, we'll have been together as a married couple for 25 years and as an unmarried couple for 25 years plus a couple years in change, right?
Unmarried couple, 25 years.
Well, no, I said 25 years of married
yes.
plus 2 years,
yeah.
what the early Christians would call living in sin. So, Ceci, it's really important on January the 3rd to have a Christmas tree behind us.
Okay.
Because,
Fact check.
I'm not ready yet. And a Starbucks cup with the Christmassy stuff. Very, very important because we're going to be talking about post-Christmas. This is now the third day into the new year. I've already broken so many resolutions I made, like to write my new book. I haven't written a word. But I have other resolutions and goals. And Ceci helps me clarify things. And one of the ways I clarify things is by having a dialogue and asking you, well, what are your goals and resolutions? And are they the same or different?
The same.
Like, do you have goals for 2023? Do you have resolutions for 2023?
No, well,
as this cone is sticking out of my head.
Well, mine are different. I mean, I have certain goals, like to be more self-disciplined, to live a coherent life, like, live, what I preach or what I wanna, what I want to, the person that I want to become, or, like to be more coherent, like take better care of myself, and, which to me would be like be more, like have my day much better structure where I take space for me, for meditating, yoga. The things are important to me and that keep me sane. And then those are my resolutions. And my goals are more in the professional area, like to finally finish things that I've been wanting to finish, and that, not that I don't want to be, because I haven't made the time for to finish things are really important, and that I consider my legacy and that I haven't been able to reach. But more than anything, like have joy every day in my life, like, have a more loving, peaceful, joyful perspective, so that, our family lives in more,
Did you know she was looking at me when she said that? Now, my goal was to give you the birthday of a lifetime. Ceci celebrated her 50th birthday, and it's just before Christmas.
And you did.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many defects, but I was locked in. And so we had an amazing time. And I wanted to give my kids just a really unforgettable Christmas, vacation after Christmas, Three Kings Day. And I think part of it's because it's not a morbid thing, I'm having lots of health issues, and so it's like, gosh, I just want them to. That's like today. My resolution was to write, and then, but we are lucky we have access to a pool today, so I just threw it all to the wind and went down to swim with my wife and my little girl, because it's like, I wanted to remember that Daddy threw away his writing goals so he could just hang. And so, but yeah, I want to be a better person. I hate mindful terms like present and aware, but I want to be more attuned and just be conscious of my roles, because I think that lends itself to greater responsibility I try to be a good financial provider as a wacky freelance street philosopher, which is not easy. I'll write a book about something. But, you know, I do hope today to get some writing done. But there's a mix, and they're not always intertwined, and you have to pick and choose what you want to do. Ceci's an amazing mom and spouse, but doesn't take enough time for herself. So we gotta really work on that as a family, as a unit.
You also take care of yourself. Like,
Yeah, this year has been a real eye opener. Just even the last month or so. So I gotta make sure I get some health issues straightened out. Yeah. So anyway. So tell me, give me an example of a professional goal that you've had like on the back burner that you want to do.
Well, I got this idea of just a couple of months ago of writing a participant guide, because I think Socrates Cafe, and we have this guide on how to facilitate for a long time, but I feel like we also need one for participants, so that
That's a fabulous idea, by the way. Never would have occurred to me.
so that where you are more conscious about how you say things, how you participate, what happens inside of you when somebody says something that triggers you.
Right,
and
nonviolent
things
communication.
like that. Yeah, exactly.
But more than that, go in some more steps.
Yeah, well, I mean,
awesome.
I mean, that's one thing that I want to complete and just have it out, and curriculum that goes with your children's books.
We have two children's book series now. They might not know. One is Days of Wonder, and one is Philosopher's Club. And several more are coming out quite soon.
Yeah.
And so Ceci, whose master's degree is in teaching philosophy for children, Master of Education, is uniquely qualified and suited, along with all of her other trainings and mindful teaching, certification, and so much else to do this. Nobody else could do it.
I mean, I believe that, just like, I feel like we've, haven't provided the greatest education to our kids in terms of what we consider a good education to be, just because there's, we haven't found one, where you take care of, you consider everything from the circadian rhythms of your body, on when to start school, when to finish, what to accomplish in the school day, but also to give them tools on, even in how the breathing has to do with your emotions and how that affects your thinking and the way you learn. Those to me are fundamental things before we even touch upon the academics. And of course, Socratic inquiry in terms of what it does to learning and wondering and being a springboard for anything you want to accomplish in life. And I think that's that, and that attaching it to neuroscience and everything we know now about how we learn and how our emotions brings us up or sinks us. And that's...
So you've been really developing a unique specialty. I think you'll probably get your PhD or EDD, but even if you don't, you've been so steeped in neuroscience. Can you tell us a little bit how that applies to your approach to our nonprofit in mothering?
Yeah, I mean, I it's like sometimes I think, gosh, if neuroscience had been around, 25 years ago, that's what I would have studied, but it
Still
wasn't.
time.
So now that we know so much about the brain and how our perceptions and how, we ruminate and, and how that triggers, even cortisol in our bodies and, makes us crazy. The stress levels and how we need to take care of our bodies and to release that cortisol and to have a better perspective in life. How even our thinking can affect our emotions. And So that is, to me, there has to be pillars in our nonprofit that touch upon that, and and I did a study of how that, like I did 3 groups, one that only got neuroscience education, like
You're talking about work with children.
yes, teenagers actually it was.
Public school.
Yeah. And it was like, some kids that only got neuroscience education, like, what happens to your body when you get angry and things like that. And then another that only got mindfulness. And then one that got everything, like got the mindfulness and Socratic inquiry and a little bit of the theory. And then, it's like, it was really significant. There were certain things that were very significant, particularly on awareness of our emotions, that came out of Socratic inquiry, not of mindfulness, which to me was so revelatory of how mindfulness has become so mainstream, but still missing the reflecting part. And I think that's our contribution to education.
That's beautiful. And a lot of this we do, from out of adversity and setback. The flagship journal of philosophy for children is run by not forthright people, and we were blackballed. This is not how Matthew Lippman would have run things. So we're starting our own journal. We'll publish Ceci's piece in that, and maybe it'll be published elsewhere as well. It surely will serve as a template and springboard for any doctoral studies she pursues. But we realize people can pontificate about philosophy for children, yet not be representative of the qualities and virtues. It's more of an academic club now, which is the antithesis of everything Philosophy for Children founders Matthew Lippman and Ann Sharp had in mind. And we've had a nightmare of experiences with the characters who now are running the show there. But out of that, I think we can do something better and even change the way scholarly, what a scholarly piece means, and what it means to review and give thoughtful comment to scholarly articles, and how the best scholarship should always reach popular audience too, or many times. But we've again, it's been a real wake-up call that in an age of such glaring polarization, me and the other, and chasms instead of bridges, that the very people who are in charge with furthering the legacy of Matthew Lippman, the founder of Philosophy for Children, have totally abandoned that charge. And so Ceci and I are truly determined to move it forward. I truly think that your essay is a key part of that, and I hope we get that published before the end of the month, because I see it as the pathway to so many other things with so many other tributaries, and your curriculum and your participation guide. I think those are so exciting, and I do see them as all interrelated, and I see them helping me as a parent and a person.
Yeah, and as a personal note to somebody, Nick, if you're listening, contacted us who had a brain injury, and then I had 2 friends who also got brain injuries, and I think that there's so much to do about how we interact in terms of like trying to and that's what philosophy is all about. It's like, who are we, and who can we be, and even when
well, that's the thing, we're getting a lot of what I would call after 27 years in doing Socrates Cafe, Philosophers Club, Philosophy for Children, we're getting so many quality emails that are pointing us in new directions, including somebody who has a brain injury, who sees Socrates Cafe and what we do as an integral component to healing, physical, mental, emotional, and every other way. And I think that's one of the reasons I like doing this after all these years, is because people who participate and are moved by my books and our projects discover new applications and inform and enlighten me about new possibilities. Our project with the palliative care program at UCLA, those kinds of things, like, they wouldn't have occurred to me, and yet they're such a natural, ready-made application, and I learned so much.
Yes.
And of course I want to replicate and expand these things at a time when there's so little fellow feeling.
Yeah.
And I need to. But what do you do? Do you point the blame at others, or do you try to resuscitate that and set an example?
Yeah. No, and also, I mean, the way that we educate children, even the academic content that we're giving them, rather than, hey, look at our environment, look at the way we're living and what are we living for our children. And so I think all of that, Socratic inquiry gives you the tools to realize where do we want to go as humanity, not just like, oh, you are this, you're that, I don't agree with you, your belief system or your, political, It's like, hey, wake up. There's much more than that. How can we find our common humanity? Realize that, yes, we're very, we have a lot of things that we need to grow as persons, but we are not gonna be able to grow if we don't take the time to reflect and to empathize and all of that is, it's like, how do we live our everyday life?
To be continued. This is a good start, and I'm really excited about 2023. And again, out of, we've been doing this a long time, and yet I feel younger than ever in the sense that there's so much not just to accomplish, but that I think that we can creatively sculpt together as a couple, as a nonprofit, but far beyond that, consultancy. There's nothing wrong with private world consultancy and entrepreneurship. And sometimes they're just all blended, and it all falls back into parenting and human being, for lack of a better word. So, Happy New Year. Yeah.